Today is March the 31st. What did Jesus preach about? Let's find out together as we read sections from the book of Luke. In reading through the Bible in a year, I'd like you today to read Luke chapter 10, verse 25 through the end of chapter 11. This section is unique to Luke. Luke is the only one that tells some of these stories. The synoptics do repeat some of these stories in different contexts, showing us that Jesus apparently, when he knew he had a good sermon, he'd repeat it. So in Luke 10:25 on through the end of 11, we get several very interesting stories. First of all, an expert in religious law asked Jesus, what's the most important command? Jesus agrees with Hillel, one of the former rabbis, in saying there are two: love God, love mankind. Hillel based that on the Decalogue, the first tablet of which held the commands to love God. God brought them out of Egypt. Have no other gods. Honor God's name. Keep the Sabbath holy. And then the second tablet dealt with man's relationship with man. Honor your father and mother. Don't kill. Don't lie. Don't covet. So on and so forth. Don't steal. Jesus said, love God, love your neighbor. The young man must have felt a little bit threatened because Jesus' answer was so simple and so quick. So he wanted to confuse things a little bit. He said, who's my neighbor? And Jesus gives the parable of the Good Samaritan. A man is accosted and waylaid, left to die by the side of the road. Along come religious leaders in Jerusalem, a priest, then a Levite. And they don't stop, but a Samaritan comes by. And Jesus calls him a despised Samaritan, comes by, has compassion on the man, binds his wound, takes him to an inn, puts him up, tells the innkeeper, if here's money for his stay. If he has to stay longer, you just keep him till he gets well. I'll pay you what I owe you when I come back through. And Jesus says, okay, which one was the neighbor? And the expert in religious law says, well, wouldn't even call him a Samaritan, the one who showed him compassion. Jesus says, yeah, go do that. He says to the expert in religious law, you asked the wrong question. You asked the question, who is my neighbor? Who am I obligated to do this to? Wrong question. The question is, who can you find to do it to? The question is not, who is my neighbor? The question is, who can you be a neighbor to? Now, Jesus goes on. He's talked about love God. He talked about love man. Now, he visits Mary and Martha, and you know the story, how Martha was preparing the meal. She went to Jesus and said, can't you get Mary to come back and help me? And Jesus says, Mary is connecting with me. Leave her alone. The next paragraph, the disciples say, teach us to pray. Teach us to connect to God. Jesus gives a parable about connecting with a friend. Jesus is accused of having connected with Beelzebub, the prince of demons. He talks about how stupid that accusation is and reiterates, I have connected with God. Love God, love man. Connect with God. He then goes on to simply say, ceremony is unimportant. At the end of chapter 11, he's invited to a Pharisee's house. He sits down to eat without performing the ritual cleansing of his hands. the Pharisees says something to him. And Jesus launches into a series of woes. Woe to you, Pharisees, verse 42. Woe to you, Pharisees, verse 43. Woe to you, verse 47. Woe to you, verse 52. In all of this, Jesus points out that the Pharisees focus on ceremony. Jesus focuses on three things. Love God. Love your fellow man. Connect with God. What did Jesus preach about? That's a pretty good start. Love God. Love man. Make sure you stay connected with God. Like, follow, and subscribe to this devotional on whatever platform you used to listen to it. Tomorrow, we'll ask the question, did Jesus know that they would kill him?